Hi, this is Leah Salmon, the Naturally You Coach, and I'm here to tell you a bit about my book, Leah's Raw Food Feast, and how it came about. Now, let me clear one thing up. I am not a raw vegan 100% all the time. I have, and that's, you know, one of the main principles behind this book. It's one of the reasons I wrote this book. I was introduced to raw food probably about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, through various, you know, friends sending me emails to different websites and telling me about the diet and things like that. So, you know, I already included a lot of raw foods in my diet without kind of thinking I'm trying to become a raw vegan. So when I realized there was a whole diet lifestyle based around just raw food, it was a bit of a revelation. It did seem a bit off the wall initially and not something that I really wanted to get into too heavily, but because so many people who were close to me were promoting it so much, I thought, you know, my job as a nutritionist at the time, I should you know, spend a bit more time and check it out. And I was glad that I did. And in the first section of the book, it explains my journey to raw food. And I started implementing more and more and getting more books and recipes and courses and all these kind of things. And as much as I really wanted to, at one point, seriously dive into it, because I'd never experienced a raw food diet before, I was used to eating cooked food. My fear was that I don't know what to eat, how much I should be eating to fill myself up on raw food. Is there a way of doing it? You know, do you have to have green smoothies, and do you have to have green juices? Do you have to have all the you know, more expensive superfoods and prepackaged foods? Do I need a dehydrator? Do I need a Vitamix? All these questions were, you know, whizzing around my head as I was trying to make the decision. I didn't want to jeopardize my health just to try out what at the time I thought was a bit of a fad, but I was still very interested in doing it. So two of the things that were greatly helpful to me really getting kick-started was one night watching Karen Nola on YouTube. I watched all her videos that she had on YouTube at the time, and wrote down all the recipes. I read a few articles on that same evening as well. I got some recipes from Shazzy as well, and put together a kind of day plan for myself. But what that was based on was getting an email from one of the raw food experts out there, where she basically just said, it was a really short, simple email, but I'll never forget it, because she just said, you know, people always ask what I eat on a day of raw food, and this is what I eat. And she just listed the foods that she ate, and I was like, is that it? It just looked so simple. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I can, you know, I can actually do it. There's an example of someone who's done it. I know she's been raw vegan for a very long time. She looks like she's in great health. So, you know, let me just go ahead and do what she's doing. To a degree, I still had the knowledge of metabolic typing, not as much as I do now, so I thought, okay, maybe not everything on that is going to work for me, but I can see now basically how to do it. So that's when I went to the Karen Nola videos on YouTube and looked at Shazzy's videos, looked at a few more recipes, and made myself, it was just, I think, for 2 days that I made the plan for. The next day I went shopping, bought everything I needed, and then the following day I ventured into my 2-day stint of raw food, which actually ended up being a bit longer than that. But I really enjoyed it, and I think if I hadn't seen an example of someone doing it, you know, it's all well and good having the theory, but just seeing one example can just, for me, make things a lot easier. And this is where Leah's Raw Food Feast comes in, because the book itself, it is a recipe book. There are over 50 recipes in here, but the part of the book that I think is most important are the meal plans. So you can choose from 5 different meal plans at the back, which lay out exactly what you can eat for either between 3 and 9 days, basically. So it tells you what to have for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then the recipes for those foods are in the book. So literally you've got everything you need. At the beginning it explains a bit more about raw food, and then you've got the plan, any of the plans that you can choose from, and when you found the plan you can then go ahead and look at the recipes for that plan, do your shopping, and Bob's your auntie's living lover, as I like to say. You've got the chance to experience either 9 or 3 days of fantastic raw living. And I think getting over some of those little practical issues can break down that barrier that some people feel that they have between themselves and raw food. Price doesn't have to be a barrier. Your location and your access to certain raw foods doesn't have to be a barrier. There's a lot of questions that I found were preventing me from going into raw food. I've tried to answer as many of them as I can in here, and each of the recipes is also got tips at the end of it of ways you can adapt the foods. We are all different. We're all, you know, we all have different metabolic types and needs for different nutrients. So there's a meal plan in there for people who do better on carbohydrates. There's a meal plan in there for people who do better on proteins. There's a meal plan in there for people who want to just try everything. There's also a meal plan in there for people who are busier and need to make foods in bulk. And then there's the tester meal plan as well. So there's also the transitionary food meal plan. So if at the moment you're eating a lot of processed foods and you're eating a lot of pre-packaged foods, takeaways and junk foods and all these kind of things, and you need one step to just get you closer to eating foods in their whole state, there's even some transitionary recipes in there that you can try, and a transitionary meal plan to just get you accustomed to eating more whole cooked foods, plus introducing more raw foods. After your 9 or 3 days, or however long you want to do the raw food for, whichever meal plan you want to follow, you'll be in a better position to say, okay, I've tried raw food, I know what it's like, and then decide where you want to take it from there. Myself, you know, I typically do about 9 days of raw food a month. Sometimes more, sometimes less, and it really just depends on how I feel. But I have definitely included a lot more raw foods just in my day-to-day living. So if I don't do my 9-day raw food 100% stint, I don't feel guilty or, you know, upset about it at all, because I have a lot of raw foods in my diet. 100% raw, in my opinion, may not be for everyone, but I definitely think everyone should experience at least 3 days of raw vegan living, just to say you experienced it, so you can say, you can know that raw food isn't working for you, which is difficult to kind of make the judgment on, but at least try it before you say it. A lot of people say, oh no, raw food doesn't work for me. Have you tried raw food? Have you really given it a go? Not just anyone's raw food, but, you know, finding out a bit more about yourself. So maybe maybe doing your metabolic typing, finding out, you know, if you're a protein or a mixed or a carbohydrate type, and then starting your raw food experience from there. So knowing you're a protein type, you would need higher levels of certain things. So when you start your raw vegan diet, it might be different than somebody else's, but you're more likely to be successful on it because you'll be giving your body the level of nutrients that it needs, whether that's in raw or vegan or vegetarian or carnivore or locavore or omnivore or whatever it is. So that's it. Leah's Raw Food Feast. You can go ahead and go to davidl.com to pick up your copy of it. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, feel free to get in contact with me. I hope you have a great day. Take care and stay healthy.